Namibia Breweries is one of the blue-chip companies on the Namibian Stock Exchange. Last year, it recorded a 27% increase in revenue to total 1.3 billion Namibian dollars, proving it's able to hold its own in a market dominated by global giant SAB Miller.
Obviously, SABM is a formidable competitor, which we respect. But yes, we had some great successes in their markets. Let's use, for example, South Africa. Our Windhoek Lager brand is doing fantastic in South Africa. With the creation of our JV in South Africa brand house with our partners Heineken and Diageo. The team down there have done extremely well and has grown the market share of Windhoek Lager. Obviously for us, yes, to come back to the competitor, one thing that we are very proud of, and it's our unique selling proposition, is that we brew according to the German purity law, or named the Reinheitsgebot, and where we only use malted barley, hops and water, nothing else. And yes, and that we tell our customers and consumers continuously. Our biggest market share we hold is in our local market in Namibia, and we're very proud of that. We're working hard to continuously grow our market share in Namibia as well as our neighboring countries. Our number one export market is South Africa, where we compete heavily in the premium beer sector. We've had some great successes and we continue to have some great successes there. Then obviously in Botswana and Angola, which is also, we've grown our market share tremendously in those two markets.
While the Namibian market is the company's major revenue earner, it's still very small. And that's why the company is focusing on increasing its export market. Already, it exports to 27 countries globally.
The manufacturing sector in countries like ours is quite a challenge. It's a challenge because of the limited market, but those who succeed are those who have an export orientation, those who have an outlook at broader regional market, as well as the market beyond the region. And Namibia is well positioned in that regard.
Export is important for us because as a Namibian company owned by Namibians, it's important that we continue to export to generate foreign income to the country. We know that for every $1 NAM dollar manufactured in Namibia, we generate 2.62 NAM dollars back into the economy. So export, unfortunately our government has been supporting local companies, manufacturing companies, to find export markets in Africa.
But as regional governments try to increase revenue sources in these tough times, the company is seeing profit margins come under pressure.
We've seen some drastic actions by governments taken. For example, in Botswana, the government has introduced a 30% levy or sin tax on all alcoholic products, from wine, spirits, beer, etc. So it's still early days. It was only implemented in November 2008, so it's still early days to see what is the impact. Challenges include high distribution costs. As you rightly said, we import all our malted barley hops from Europe, which, yes, it does add to cost. We distribute the majority of our products now to South Africa, which does add cost to the entire supply chain. But so that is one of the key issues. But fortunately, the fuel price has come down, which is giving us a breather. But also, as a team, as a management team, we've got a critical success factor called the war on cost. And so for us, we're extremely cost conscious. Make sure that we spend wisely. We've got hedging policies in place, contracts with suppliers, and that should help us through the tough times.
Government has put some incentives in place, like a 10-year 18% corporate tax rate for manufacturing companies, after which they have to pay the standard 35% rate. And with the influx of South African goods, government has had to put policies in place to protect local companies. Namib Mills started out as a small milling operation in 1982, producing staple products like maize meal.
We are basically in staple foods as such. A lot of the people in the north are subsistence farmers and they produce mahangu for own consumption. The past number of years, the mango crop was not as good as it should have been. So people are generally then forced to buy maize meal. And this year specifically, we're selling quite a substantial amount of maize meal, not only in the normal business situation, but there's also World Food Programs. And then the government has also introduced a drought relief scheme where they issue maize meal, vegetable oil and canned fish. So we've, at this stage, are really having an excellent year as far as that's concerned. Obviously there has been price increases, but people must eat, and you find that people within, say, drop their standards and eat down, as we say, from, for instance, a super maize meal maybe to a special, from a special to a sifted, and from a sifted to an unsifted. But we are picking up in volumes as far as that's concerned, and then we're also exporting quite a substantial amount of maize meal to Angola, because they've also had bad crops in Angola. In the case of maize and wheat, there is control. So you can mill in Namibia, but no milled maize or wheaten products can be imported. So that's really a closed border situation. And even if during the production season of maize and wheat, the millers have to buy the local produced maize and wheat before they are allowed to import maize or wheat from anywhere else. And the Namibian Agronomic Board is controlling that. So maize and wheat, no imports really that can compete with us, but anyone is free to come and mill here. We, for instance, I think have something like 26 maize milling licenses in the country.
And even though Namibia is hardly the country you'd associate with traditional Italian pasta, the company has expanded into just that.
It's a related product, and we were doing quite well from the start. I believe, I wasn't here then, but I believe that they captured about 50% of the market before the infant industry protection was introduced. At this stage we supply about 95% of the market, but again our competitors, Pacoma, is coming into the market.
While some companies are benefiting from government control, others say it's customer loyalty that will help them survive in the current global conditions. And Weermann Brock is one company that knows how to survive. It's been around since the German colonial days and is still run by the same family.
I'm the sixth generation in the family. It's a family business. We started off in Germany in 1837. That's when my grandfather decided to move to Hamburg, and he started with trading in goods. Later on he decided that the trading of goods is not good enough any longer. He bought ships, and then he started to trade all over the world, concentrating on Africa. And that's how we started in Namibia in 1894, so that's now 114 years ago that we started in Namibia. And originally it was as trading posts, supplying goods from Europe to Africa, and also trying to export items from Africa back to Europe.
Like larger neighbour South Africa, Namibia has suffered from high inflation, but sees this easing in the course of the year. With job cuts in the mining sector and pressure from a slowing economy, spending patterns are likely to reflect the tough times.
The inflation of the last year was quite tremendous. Basically what happens is people are down trading. The person that used to buy his fillet steak is now only buying mincemeat. The person that used to buy his mincemeat is now only buying bones, and the person that used to buy the bones now can only afford the bones once every 4 weeks instead of every week.
But Namibia still has a lot going for it. And one of the major plus points is access to the Angolan market. Coming out of a 27-year civil war, Angola is rebuilding itself at a rapid pace, making it the fastest growing economy in Africa. And this growth means more people who have more buying power, and this means a demand for goods from Namibia.